Hello everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining us for another lesson in our ongoing French course. In this course, we are going to look at a very important verb, the verb conduire. Conduire. Notice for pronunciation, the first vowel here is nasal. Conduire. Conduire. So what does conduire mean? Conduire means to drive. So it's a very important verb. Chances are it's likely a part of your daily routine, so it's an important verb to learn. First, a little bit about the history of the word before we look at the forms. The verb conduire, from the Latin conducere, which means to lead together. This is from the prefix con, which means with, and the verb ducere, to lead. So we have conducere, to lead together. So other verbs in the Romance language world that are derived from conducere are the Spanish conducir, the Italian condurre, and the Portuguese conduzir. Okay, and now on to the verb itself. So the most important thing that I can tell you about this verb in French is that it is an irregular verb. And you know what that means. If it's an irregular verb, it doesn't follow a pattern of conjugation, a set pattern of conjugation, which means you just have to memorize the forms. And remember, native speakers just memorize the forms through practice. So that's what we're going to do. We'll practice, hopefully, to make it part of your active vocabulary so you can begin using it in conversation. Okay, so the forms, you have to memorize them. So here's the first form. How do you say I drive in French? You say je conduis. Je conduis. I drive. Je conduis. You drive. How do you say you drive? It's exactly the same form as the first one. Tu conduis. Tu conduis. You drive. You drive. Remember, present tense forms are very powerful. Tu conduis can also mean you do drive or you are driving. So you drive, you do drive, you are driving. Tu conduis. And every form has these multiple meanings. Je conduis, I drive, I do drive, I am driving. Okay, il, elle, on are lumped together here because they always share the same verb form. So il conduit, he drives. Elle conduit, she drives. And on conduit, one drives. The next form, a plural form, plural subject. So nous, we. So how do you say we drive? It's nous conduisons. Nous conduisons. We drive. We do drive. We are driving. Vous conduisez. Vous conduisez. You drive. You do drive. You are driving. And then finally, the last form, they, ils, elles, conduisent. Conduisent. They drive, they do drive, they are driving. These are the 6 forms that you need to memorize. So let's practice a little bit. Now you can play this part of the video over and over again until you can guess all of the answers before I tell them to you. When you can do that, then you've really learned this verb. So once you go through it a first time, if you didn't get everything right, you can go through it again and just keep doing it until you can say the answer, visualize the answer before I tell you the answer. Okay, so here's the first one. We're going to go through all the forms. So this is just the practice. I drive. How do you say I drive in French? Je, subject, and verb form that you have to memorize. Conduis, je conduis. I drive, je conduis. And pay very close attention to the spelling. It's very important. C-O-N-D-U-I-S. Conduis, je conduis. You might want to spell it out. That might help you to remember it as well. Next form, you drive. So this would be the informal you, singular. Tu. And remember, je and tu forms are the same for this verb. So if you know the first one, you know the second one. Tu conduis. Tu conduis. C-O-N-D-U-I-S. Conduis. Tu conduis. You drive. Next, he drives. He drives. So subject, you know, il. And then there's just a slight change to the spelling here. Instead of an S at the end, a T. Il conduit. Il conduit. He drives. C-O-N-D-U-I-S. C-O-N-D-U-I-T. Conduit. Il conduit. She drives. If you know he drives, then you know she drives. Just change the subject pronoun. So elle conduit. Elle conduit. C-O-N-D-U-I-T. Conduit. Il conduit. One drives. Same form. On, subject pronoun. Verb form, conduit. Conduit. On conduit. One drives. C-O-N-D-U-I-T. On conduit. We drive. We drive. Nous conduisons. Conduisons. Nous conduisons. We drive. C-O-N-D-U-I-S-O-N-S. Conduisons. Conduisons. The formal you drive. Remember formal you, vous. And then the form is conduisez. 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 C-O-N-D-U-I-S-E-Z. Conduisez. They drive. Ils conduisent. Conduisent. Ils conduisent. C-O-N-D-U-I-S-E-N-T. Conduisent. Ils conduisent. Remember also, elles conduisent. They drive. Okay, so those are the forms of the verb conduisez in the present tense. So again, here are all the forms. Just keep repeating this until you get it right. So we have conduit, 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 conduisons, conduisez, conduise. Let's look at a few examples, incomplete sentences to finish off the lesson here. So if I wanted to say, I drive carefully in French, I'm sure you know the first part, je conduis. How would we say carefully in this context? Well, we would say with prudence, literally. Je conduis avec prudence. Je conduis avec prudence. I drive carefully. Je conduis avec prudence. And one thing that we could do to expand on this idea is to say something like, I drive carefully when it rains. Je conduis avec prudence quand il pleut. And of course, a good thing to do when it rains, drive carefully and slowly, especially if you understand the laws of physics. Okay, how about this one? If you want to tell someone you drive fast. You drive fast. Informal you, tu conduis vite. Tu conduis vite. You drive fast. Tu conduis vite. How about you drive too fast? Tu conduis trop vite. Tu conduis trop vite. You drive too fast. So let's mix it up a little bit with I want to drive. So remember the verb vouloir, to drive. So I want, je veux, and then of course just the infinitive, to drive. Conduire. Je veux conduire. I want to drive. Or maybe you like to drive. I like to drive. The verb aimer. J'aime. I like. And then of course again just the infinitive. Conduire. J'aime conduire. I like to drive. Okay, well, there you have it for the verb conduire. Remember, it's just a matter of practice. The more you practice, the more likely it is that you'll remember the forms. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate it very much if you give it a like. Subscribers, thank you so much, as always, for your support. To go on to another lesson, click on the video that appears here on your screen. See you soon. À bientôt.